You have visual artists. Does that come into play as a chef for you guys?
It does. I mean, I don't know. I speak for myself, but it does to a certain extent. I mean, food. I mean, we're craftsmen. You know, we have a craft. We cook. We're cooks. To a certain extent, it can be an art. I think the most important thing that we do is we practice our craft, which is to kind of nurture the ingredients that we do and translate it in the best way possible. But I think that there is a certain level of artistry. I mean, you know, you eat with your eyes first. That's what
right.
Most people say. But we try to make it, if it's even possible, once we feel that we've mastered whatever ingredients we're using, then we have the permission of creating something, whether it's mimicking where the product actually came from. If we have a dish, again, I'll bring up the subject of carrot. If we have a dish that incorporates a carrot, we'll probably create a dish give it a visual effect of, okay, it's being pulled out from the earth. We'll create exactly that. So we can do that with anything, with potatoes, with even fish. We try and do that with herbs, with anything at all. So I guess to a certain extent there is a level of artistry, but before anything, we try to make sure that we're very good about respecting ingredient, not too many. You know, we try not to blindfold the ingredients too much and let people just really feel the produce and really experience it.
Nice. And I was doing a little research about you. I read that you grew up in a really a family that was very much in the kitchen and very into food. How did your childhood influence you becoming a chef? And was there a moment as a young person when you knew that that's what you wanted to do?
Well,
and that's for both of you.
Yeah, yeah. I'll give quickly my version, then Jacob can do his. My grandfather was a chef. The only thing is, living in Spain at the time, couldn't really support his family by being a chef at the time. So he was actually a construction worker. His brother was a chef. They had restaurants. So I come from a family of restaurants. But I would, since the age of 12, I used to watch my grandfather cook. I would participate. I would help him. Our family cooked. It was a natural thing. And my dream was actually to be a musician. I thought I would be a musician. I actually went to a conservatory in Spain. Learned how to. I wanted to be compose my own music. So I did do that for a couple of years. Found out that cooking was my calling. It felt right to me. And I ended up falling back into that and continuing with that. And it's one of those things where you have these multiple experiences, but there's always one or two things that just really, really call out to you. You feel at peace with it. You're familiar with it. You feel like you've done it forever. And that was my experience. So, I don't know.
Nice.
Obi, half Japanese. I was raised in Japan until I was 12. And always in the kitchen since I was about 5. My grandmother, who was Japanese, she's the one that taught me the classic broth making using bonito flakes and kombu, which is a kelp, cooking rice, and a very classical technique is where I learned from my grandmother. Also, during spring and fall, we used to go visit our cabin up in Nagano, which is in the countryside. That's where they did that Olympic. Beautiful forest. That's where my grandmother taught me the art of foraging, which is going into the wild, picking your own wild herbs and plants and fruits and all that good stuff that people are not used to eating. So that's my background. I studied art, architectural design as well. I always fell back into cooking. I've been cooking since 15 professionally.
Wow. Great. That's amazing. So, I'm curious from you guys, just the question from the beginning of the show, like if it were your last meal, what would you...
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I don't know. I'm big on bread. I don't know, if it was my last meal on earth, that's a tough one because living in Japan, I had pretty amazing food. It could go either an amazing sushi meal or the most amazing baked bread with butter.
Nice.
Salt.
And is there a particular person you would have cook it for you, make it for you?
That's a good one. Well, my grandfather made pretty amazing bread. I mean, I would have to say, yeah, I'd have to have him make bread for me and, you know, do some amazing freshly churned butter and some amazing salt. And as far as if I had to go to the Japanese side, I would have the chef that I worked with when I was in Kyoto and have him do an amazing meal for me.
Oh, cool, very cool.
For me, there's a restaurant I visited about 2 years ago up in Los Gatos, up north in the Bay Area, called Manresa. The chef there, David Finch, is a good friend of mine. I had a tasting menu there. He sent out a dish called a tidal pull. A tidal pull. Right when you brought the dish out, the aroma of the sea, and that's the only dish that I ever had 16 years of cooking that I really got emotional. I actually got a little teary because it took me back to my childhood memories. You know, when my grandmother cooked me this broth. You know, so I got really emotional. So I probably want to eat that for my last meal.
Oh, nice. And do you guys feel